Back in October, my husband and I were on vacation headed towards downtown Atlanta to enjoy our 30-year anniversary. We had a whole night booked, and unfortunately, we got into a bad car accident. We were headed off of an entrance ramp onto the highway. We saw a lady in the second to fastest lane. Here in Georgia, we have the Peach Pass lane and then the fast lane. She was in that fast lane next to the Peach Pass. She took a right turn and started heading directly across all 5 lanes of traffic towards our vehicle. My husband saw her coming, so he got off into the emergency lane, which was very large because it was still the entrance ramp for us to get onto the highway. We weren't even off of it yet. She hit us anyway. She kind of if these are 2 cars, she kind of hit the side of our car and pushed us this way, and then we went forward into the cement median between our entrance ramp and the entrance ramp about 10 feet below it for the other part of the highway to join with it. So, unfortunately, my brand new car was totaled. It was about 3 months old, and it was pretty bad. Luckily, both my husband and I walked away relatively unscathed. I just remember after the accident, she somehow very quickly got to my side of the car door. My husband's car door was pinned between her car and ours, so he couldn't get out that way. She came around to my side, and all of our airbags had deployed, side ones, back ones, everything in the entire car. So she had to reach kind of underneath that side airbag to get to me, and she started tugging on my arm asking if I was okay and trying to pull me out of the vehicle because it was smoking. Well, our whole engine was crushed, so of course it was smoking. So she pulls me out of the car, and then I don't remember seeing her again for a while. We had a lot of people stop for the accident, and a semi-truck stopped, a lady, African American lady stopped, and I don't remember everyone who stopped. And everyone was asking me if I was okay, and I was so shocked. I was in such that state where you have no idea what's going on that I kept saying, I think so, because I didn't really feel anything yet. And then at that moment, I was sitting on the guardrail and I realized that Joe, my husband, wasn't out of the car yet. So I yelled at the African American lady and I was like, get him out. And he crawled out of the car. I remember him coming out on his hands and knees and shaking. And I've never seen my husband like this ever before or since. And he was shaking so bad. He had a cut on his finger. And he was like, what happened? I was like, we were in a car accident. And he was in worse shock than I was. So I kind of walked him over and I sat him on the guardrail, and then I asked if anyone had called the cops yet. Nobody had. So I called the cops. And I called 911 and they were like, is anyone injured? And I was like, I don't think so. And so they transferred me to the local sheriff station, and I had to wait on hold while these guys were going to pick up my call, which was kind of weird for me. Anyway, I told them where we were, and they brought everybody. While we were waiting, though, I called both the hotel and our dinner reservations, which was a dinner and a show, for that evening, saying that we're in a car accident, my car is totaled, we're not going to make it tonight. Then Joe called his dad, and his dad came to the site so we'd have a ride home. And while this was happening, the girl came up to me again, and she said, I didn't see you, I didn't see you, I didn't see you. Repeat 4,000 times. And I finally got so mad. I turned to her and I said, how the flip? I didn't say flip though. Did you not see a giant red SUV? We weren't even on the highway yet. And I think I shocked her because she didn't say anything else to me the entire time. Then we learned that she was trying to get off into the emergency lane because her boyfriend had broken down about a half a mile back from where we ended up crashing. And he somehow drove up to the site, even though she said he was broken down and couldn't go anywhere. He drove up to the site and he was in like a wife beater and he was filthy and he was smoking, and he leans on my smoking, leaking, wrecked vehicle and smoking his cigarette, and I was like, can you please move away so that nothing catches on fire from your cigarette to add to all of the stuff that's happening? And he was like, yeah, and he like then tried to be buddies with us and tried to explain like, oh, she's never been in an accident before, like nothing like this happens to her. And I was like, cool, I don't care. Like right now I'm just waiting for the cops to get here. I'm starting to feel the pain of the accident. So because our airbags went off and she hit us this way and then we slammed so hard, probably going nearly 50 miles an hour or maybe more into that guardrail, my whole front engine crumpled in. So I hit the side where the airbag was deploying and then I went forward and hit the front. Joe ended up, after all of this, just having that one cut on his finger which healed after a few days. I ended up having some severe bruising on this shoulder and across my waist, and it was debilitating because I couldn't walk. I had to like do little granny steps to go anywhere because the bruising was so bad. Anytime I took a bigger step, it was like stretching all of that and it hurt. I couldn't sit down without like lowering myself down like a giant pregnant person, and I couldn't use my arm very well. So we talked to some people and we decided that we were going to go ahead and, you know, see what we could do with the lawyer as far as medical and everything was concerned. And we went through that recourse to get all of my medical bills paid because I ended up having to go through physical therapy. I had to get an MRI done on my shoulder. I had to get a cortisone shot in my shoulder and all this physical therapy. Luckily, we walked away, and if physical therapy is the worst that happened, like, we were so blessed. But we had to get a new car, and that was kind of a bummer because we just got this one. But overall, it worked out. It just caused a lot of problems, and luckily we're both okay, and we're able to get a new car. But that's where part 2 of this story comes in, because we got into another car accident in the new car. So if you're interested in seeing part 2, and if you have any questions about what happened in our first car accident, I will say, as a brief thing in the end, the cops and everybody did finally show up. It took them a while. When they did show up, the cop did ticket her on the scene for being the person who was obviously in the wrong. She got 2 tickets on site, which made me feel better because I was like, I don't want there any way for them to come back at us and say it was our fault, which they did, and it obviously wasn't. There's nothing we could have done. We tried to avoid her. It was just a bummer that it was on our anniversary, and we had that whole week, almost 2 weeks off. So those whole 2 weeks we were just recovering from the accident. So it could have gone better, but if you have any questions about what happened or anything else like that, I'd love to answer them in the comments below. And if you're interested in part 2, that will be coming out shortly. Thank you all for watching, and have a magical day. Bye!